Welcome to CFO Chronicles, the secrets behind success. The go-to podcast for fractional CFOs and accounting firm owners who want to attract more high-paying clients and increase their revenue. Hosted by James Donovan from 92 Media. This podcast dives into marketing strategies specifically designed for lead generation and client acquisition. In each episode, you'll hear from industry leaders sharing their success stories and expert tactics to help you sign more lucrative clients and grow your business. Tune in and discover actionable insights to transform your marketing efforts and boost your bottom line.
Today we're joined by Stan Sukhinin from Sorso, based out of Austin, Texas. Stan is a fractional CFO advisor working with a variety of industries, helping firms improve their cash flow, reduce their expenses, and the overall health of their business. Stan, thank you so much for joining the show. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about you and your business.
Yeah, James, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
Really cool. Looking forward to getting into this. Stan, let's go back to the beginning maybe. How did you get into the world of, CFO advisory, the financial world, helping businesses improve the overall health of their company?
Yeah, my story started very, very early. So when I was 15 years old, I already kind of figured out what I'm going to do with my life. I like financials and I like businesses. And I decided that my first job should be at a bank, at the corporate lending department, because I can see businesses and analyze financials. So it's where I end up like a mid-size bank. And then I switch a few jobs, joined investment banking. And then I had this dream, to set up my own hedge fund. It was a long dream, and reading all this Buffett, all these hedge fund gurus, follow them. And yeah, so I decided when I was, I think, 34, so I'm originally from Russia, Moscow. I decided to move to the capital of hedge fund industry, New York, with my family and start my own hedge fund. So it's kind of didn't really work out. So I moved just before the pandemic, and then pandemic happened, and we struggled even to open a hedge fund. When we opened, we didn't have enough asset under management, and we had one employee, so it just it was expenses after expenses with no revenue. And I was almost deplete my savings, and it's just thinking, okay, what's I gonna do next? And at that point, I had this kind of weird kind of message in my head. I thought financials are too easy. I thought it's kind of another language. It's kind of it's good to know this, but it can be your profession. And until I get this offer from new friend of mine from New York, his father was fundraising for his startup, and they sent me the deck and the financial model. And I look at this, and I was and before they send me, they say the financial model is the best that what I will ever see in my life, and and I've seen a lot. So I've been working with more than 1,000 businesses during my career, and I just opened this financial model, and it was the worst financial model that I ever seen in my life. It was absolutely terrible, no logic. It's just it was terrible. So and then I kind of say, okay, I can help you, just to redo the model, and the deck is also wasn't great, and then I realized they actually, I think at that time it was $2,500, something like that, for the deck, and I realized, they pay for this, and they really need my skills, and I kind of lights on. Okay, so I can do this, and since then I started doing this. At that time, I didn't call it fractional CFO. I didn't at that time it wasn't a thing. It just was, I don't know, kind of a financial consulting.
Okay. Interesting path on. It sounds like you kind of fell into it a little bit backwards, but it seems like it's working out for you right now. Let's flip the script a little bit there, Stan. Then tell me, how are you finding new businesses to work with so that you are able to provide that same value to new clients who you're providing to your existing clients? Because I think a lot of a lot of professionals in your space, they are so skilled at the fulfillment aspect, but there can be some struggles at times to find new clients. So what's been working well for you in that arena?
Yeah, I think James, you are totally right. I think like our industry full of like accountants and financial people, and they just like they choose these professions like because of their personality, and usually it's like introverts, like they rather spend like the entire day in front of the Excel. So it's just like opposite of, I don't know, like a salesperson, or like, I don't know, like it probably even like CEO. So like they don't really get used to the go to the public, share their opinion publicly. I don't know, yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of hurdles. I think for me, like my kind of previous entrepreneur experience with the hedge fund, because when I moved to New York, I set a goal that I'm just going every day. I will spend time to networking, and I just like start going on events every day. And it was literally like my job. So I just find any event that is relevant for me and just trying to get as many contacts as possible. And right now it's also the same, I think, like offline, especially in my category. I'm working with the high revenue clients, so I'm working with at least like 3 million of revenue clients, and I'm not the cheapest one. I know there's a different price buckets, and I think like to sell like this kind of like service with this price tag, you need to establish relationships offline, or somebody should refer to you. I think it's only like two reliable ways how you get clients, especially in my segment. If you don't work like with startups and you don't really provide accounting service, you're working like I'm only providing like a fractional CFO service. So I think it's the way to go. Like just find any kind of events where you can meet your potential customers.
Okay. I I would have to challenge you a little bit. I
Mm.
would say there's other ways to certainly get in front of the ideal clients you're already working with. Word of mouth, it's always going to be the best, but there's a catch 22 there. You need to have enough people you're working with in order to actually send out the word of mouth. And then the networking, you can get very restricted to either the serviceable area you're in where you're attending these events, or it can become extremely costly if you're flying around to different events. So just depending on what those look like, but you're absolutely right. You can certainly get in front of great audiences and great prospects at those through those methods. But yeah, I would definitely challenge you that there are other consistent ways to still get in front of the business owners who are doing 3 mil plus per year. Outside of the networking events, because I'm sure not tried in the past that didn't work, that you no longer do anymore because it's simply just it's not yielding the results that you're looking for.
What I'm not doing anymore that okay. It's a good question. I think I'm stopped working with the certain clients. So it's like the biggest realization. I spent too much time on the clients that just is not good fit for my service, and I couldn't realize. So I just like when I learn about my peers, like successful fractional CFO companies, and then when I like met certain clients that kind of like okay to pay, I know 6,000 a month. So as I realized, okay, I'm doing the right service. I'm just not in servicing. I just like targeting not the right clients, because before that I was working with the startups and like yeah, like up to 1 million of revenue, and they don't have like even like $2,000 per month to pay like for any kind of service, and yeah, it was a struggle, and it kind of like this realization helps me, and I think I think a lot of, especially like just first time kind of like a fractional CFO that just started, and they trying to get any kind of clients, and usually because they're more like those like small companies than larger companies, just because of the low numbers, and like they probably will meet those and they will say no, it's like 5,000, even like $3,000 is just too much, we can pay, and then they can like create this wrong wrong like kind of mindset that it's probably too much I'm asking for this service, but it's actually just you talking with the wrong client.
Yeah, that's really good insight, and I'd love to ask a follow up on that, but kind of just building off of what you're saying, it takes me back to the analogy of a bottle of water. A bottle of water at, say, the corner store might be $1. The same bottle of water at the airport could be $7. It's not that the product isn't right. It's where are you trying to sell the product? Who are you trying to sell it to? And it sounds like that's what you really noticed is, hey, I have the right thing. People want it, but I was selling it and I was trying to sell it to the wrong people who just simply can't afford it. Now I'm selling it to just a whole different audience, and they're saying yes, no trouble at a much higher price point. Same service offering, much higher price point to a more qualified audience.
And right now, for example, it gives me like when I learn about like those right clients, and when you see like that you deliver the value, it gives you a real like a boost in your confidence. And for example, I'm like right now I'm not gonna discount my price, even if it's gonna be a small scope of work. I know it doesn't worth like my time, and it's just not the right client, and I will just decline it. It's just like it's gonna work. So I'm kind of like very firm on my price and don't really like negotiate below like a certain cap. Yeah.
What are some of the things you look for? Like, do you have an internal checklist when you're on a sales call with a prospect, excuse me, or someone's interested in your services? Are you running through a couple different things? Are you trying to identify on the call? Because everyone speaks about, hey, I only work with the best clients, and these are the people I want to work with. But oftentimes, especially when you're getting started, when push comes to shove, if someone's like, hey, I'm willing to pay you what you're asking for, let's engage in business. Most of the time people are going to say, yes, let's do it. But what are you looking for now that you're a little bit more established, where you're like, you know what, that's a red flag. I actually don't want them as a client because that red flag doesn't outweigh the value in which they're providing my firm.
Yeah, I think like the easiest one is just kind of not red flag, it's just criteria. Like for them, even if they agree to pay my price, but for example, I know their revenue is $1 million and they are not startup that growing like I don't know double their revenue every 3 months. It's just like I know it doesn't make economically for them like to pay this price, so I will decline anyway. So it doesn't make any sense for you guys right now. Like another thing is just like I'm looking for the scope of work on a discovery call, like to understand what they really looking for, and like when you kind of like dig deeper and like understand like okay, what you need help with. Like for example, if it's kind of like I don't know, really distress situation when like I know they running out of the money like in 2 weeks, and it's just like they need like help. It's probably too late for me to step in, and it's probably is gonna be like a full-time project, like for my team, including me, right? Just like to take this company for the next like three months, probably, right? And it's probably there's a very high probability that we'll still end up closing the company, and I will lose them as a client. So it's just it doesn't work for me. Yeah, and I think like you just in general you kind of like see the person, like what's they asking, what's they looking for, what's the expectations from you. I think sometimes it's difficult to kind of get it from the first call, but I usually do discovery call and then kind of like a sales call where we like go more in details of what's the expectations, what's the issues, and how we can solve them. And so you're trying like to gauge this and like to understand, okay, is it a good fit? And like scope work. Yeah, so sometimes I know expecting kind of what I'm doing an accounting work or like I don't do this, so it's yeah, or like I know file day taxes. So yeah.
Do you are you partnered up with other firms, Stan, who the business owners that you can't work with, the ones who you don't feel are a good fit for you, you're able to refer them to someone else and you're still monetizing a little bit off of those connections?
Not my direct peers. So I have a lot of conversations with other fractional roles like marketing, chief revenue officer, like HR, like other, like in trying to establish those referral fees. but I think I don't know, it's kind of challenging, at least for me. I don't know. You have a lot of conversations, but they just don't really turn into anything right now. So yeah, but let's see.
Have you thought about having some of those partnerships where because especially if you have a solid lead flow coming through and you can't take on everyone and not everyone's a good fit, where you can send them to another firm who does specialize in maybe those smaller businesses, like between the $500,000 to the $2 million range, or if there are people looking for specific services you don't offer, and you can still monetize off the back end. Have you considered that for your business model?
Yeah, probably at some point, yes. Yeah, right now, just I don't know. I don't think I have. I know so many leads that like I need to establish like these processes. These days, there's certain I know like people approach like and they need help. I know trying to find even like for my current clients, there's a they need a new tax advisor, or like I know something doesn't work with like I don't know with accounting firm. So for example, with accounting, like I have kind of this hate and love because like I usually so it's usually kind of like the first things on to-do list on a new client.
Okay. What are one of the, and if you can narrow it down to one, but what stands out to you as like one of the biggest wins, the biggest thing you're proud of with your business? Maybe it's a win for a client, a win for yourself with your business. Is there anything that stands out top of mind? They're like, yeah, this is awesome. This is a win I'm very proud of.
Yeah, and like just I don't know, get them clarity what they need to accomplish, like get the picture because like before we start working, they have this kind of like a vague understanding, like even like what they need to do the business and no revenue, profit, where they are, like they just like they want to sell at some point, but they don't have anything, like firm and concrete, like what's they doing, like what kind of revenue, what kind of EBITDA they want to achieve, how they want to achieve, how much capital do they need to provide. And then like I just see like in 6 months, like we have like this great visibility what is happening with different parts of the business, how much they generated cash, how much they need capital, like how much we need to invest in the future to get like where they want to. And it's just like it's great to see. And I hate this word, like I know strategic approach, like find those insights, all these kind of like buzzwords. But yeah, I think it's main differentiator of myself from others. I don't have any accountant background. I've never been in CPA. I've never been a controller. I've been on the investment banking side, on lending side, and so it's kind of like helped me to see strategically when I look at each client.
Okay, interesting. And you mentioned earlier in this recording you have a team now. What's an average day look like for you? You get up in the morning. How much time is spent? Are you working in the business? Is most of it on the business? Do you work half days now because everything's been, you have the systems and processes that everything can run? Like what's the average day look like for you during the, Monday to Friday?
Yeah, right now I'm switching more to business development. So I kind of like my goal, I know for this quarter, like I know decrease the like actual work on the current clients, I know, to less than 50%. It's a bit challenging, particularly this quarter, because just like a lot of stuff like going on with each client. They have like audits, board of directs, like closing the financials, just so many things happening. But yeah, it's kind of like I'm right now I spend more time on business development, and it's just like part of this is like I post every day on LinkedIn and Twitter. I want to expand this one. Yeah, I do a lot of offline networking events and just follow up, reach out. I have kind of like online meetups with different people. Usually it's kind of like these fractional roles, different fractional roles to establish like those partnerships. So kind of exploring different things, trying like my goal, I think by the end of the first half of this year, to spend like, I know, 60-70% on business development.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. I'm sure by getting to that goal, you're going to see significant growth on the bottom line of the firm. So definitely wishing you all the best as you work towards that goal.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Stan, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate all of the insight and knowledge you shared in the background on how you got your firm off the ground and the direction you're you're hoping to go in and continue to push forward with. So again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, James, for inviting me. Yeah, it was great to speak with you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of CFO Chronicles, the secrets behind success. I hope you found value in today's conversation. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please rate and review the show. It helps others discover the insights we share here. Second, if you're ready to take your business to the next level and attract the high-end clients you deserve, head over to accountingleadsnow.com or click the link in the show notes to book your strategy call. It's time to position yourself as the advisor your clients need. And don't forget, you can connect with me on LinkedIn to stay up to date on what's happening in the world of accounting and financial growth. We've got more exciting topics coming up, so stay tuned for the next episode of CFO Chronicles. Until then, keep pushing forward. Your growth is just one strategic move away.
Thanks for listening to CFO Chronicles, the secrets behind success. We hope today's episode provided valuable strategies to help you attract more high-paying clients. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share with fellow professionals. Connect with us on LinkedIn and leave a review or comment to join the conversation. Your feedback helps us bring you the best insights in finance and marketing. Until next time, keep striving for success and unlocking your business's potential.